Okay, so just going over this nutrition calculator, how to get someone's macros for maintenance, then thinking about things like a deficit or going into like a surplus. So firstly, if it's yellow, you can touch it, you can enter it. If it's not yellow, please don't enter it, it'll just ruin the spreadsheet. So now that we've got that clear, we'll go through the first section. So this is like the physical lifestyle characteristics part, which is, ascertains someone's total daily energy expenditure. So we've got biological sex, so just type M or F based on that. Age, height, weight, rough body fat percentage, so just roughly. You can get some really good scales online, just pictures and stuff. It doesn't have to be accurate if you don't have that data. Then you got activity factor, so it's just like, what's their physical activity level. There's some comments here on like just how to ascertain that figure. I've gone with 1.77, which is physical worker or someone who does 1 hour exercise daily. That'll spit out their BMR and total daily energy expenditure, and then we can give them an assigning of protein and fat off their grams per kilo body weight. So in the other content, you'll kind of have a look at like how we set those numbers. I'm going to go with 2.2 grams, which is a really good place to be. Anywhere from 1.6 to 2.2 grams is generally the best place to be for most things. As we get into a surplus, you can go higher. Into a deficit, you can go higher. But we'll just start with 2.2. And 1 gram per kilo is always a good place to start for fat. So as you can see here, they've given out our total daily energy intake, which is 2,620 calories. And then the proteins, 165, fat 75, with the carbohydrates 321. So that's their maintenance macros. You can sit on that for 2 weeks before you start adjusting things based off the goal, or they can stay there forever if that's what they want to do, depending on the person and their outcomes that they want to achieve. So now we're going to think about, all right, how do we move this person into a deficit? Now, there's 2 ways to do this. Firstly, you could simply just take, 10% off this amount, which would be, 262 calories. So you could just minus 262 calories, keep protein constant, take it off the other 2 macronutrients, and it's happy days. And you can just continuously do that as you need to until that person achieves the outcomes that they want. If you want something a little more deliberate, a little bit more mathematical, maybe set it to a timeline or something like that, then going into this deficit fat loss section is pretty handy. So what we want to do is kind of set a rough body fat percentage that person wants to get. So I've gone in here and just kind of given you guys a bit of an idea of like what desired looks and stuff are for certain people in terms of body fat percentage. So sub 12% is a competitor for a female. 15 to 20% is like that fit, athletic, lean look. 22 to 25% is that kind of healthy-ish look. It's like they don't have heaps of body fat or anything, but they're not like shredded or lean or anything like that. Body fat percentage for males, so sub 8% is a competitor. Between 8 and 15 is, lean, significantly lean, and then you got 15 to 20% like athletic and healthy. So let's just put 22% for this particular person. They're 30%. They want to get to that kind of fit, lean kind of section. Then we just see how we go if they want to keep going. So I'm going to come to this section here. So the rate of weight loss. So we're going to go at like 1% of their body weight per week, which is 750 grams. So there's 75 kilos. 1% of that is 750 grams. That is. So that's going to take roughly 11 weeks. So we've set ourselves about a 12 to 15 week time frame. It's good to have a buffer and stuff. And then what that's done is set the calories and the macros based off that. So as you can see here, it's done all the work for you, just in like prescribing the macronutrient values. So you can start their macros there, and then you can make adjustments along the way. If you want to go a little bit more aggressive, because that person can take it, you might want to do a kilo a week or something like that. It'll take roughly 7 weeks. You can throw a couple of diet breaks in there, and it might take 10. And as you can see, the macros are significantly different, with about 1,000 calories less overall. So that's kind of how we would play around with the deficit part of that. So if you have any questions with that, just yell out. Now you want to think about moving into a surplus. So if this person wants to grow, or they're into performance, something along those lines, we base things off the percentages. So we can start at 5%, which is a really, really subtle increase. As you can see, it's only about 100 calories, maybe just over, in terms of an increase. Now, as you can see, the carbohydrates are the only ones that increase because we don't have control of those over here. But if you wanted to, you could increase the fat intake, and that'll just alter these ratios. Or if you wanted to drop the protein down because they're in a surplus and they've got more calories, so they don't need as much protein. As you can see here, it starts to alter the macronutrient distribution, but the calorie stays the same. So if you want to start anywhere between 5 and 10% is a good place to start. It really just depends on the individual. But yeah, you can kind of really play around with that figure, and it just kind of alters that stuff for you. So that's kind of how we get the starting values. There's more stuff in other resources about like coaching and what to do and how to make decisions and whatnot. This is simply just how to get the macros and how to come to a logical, hypothetical start point for someone just based off their goals.